What's good, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome back to the Water Boys channel. As today I got a topic that might be sensitive for a lot of people and maybe not ready to move on from yet, but it can happen. So I want to get my top 5 replacements for Tyrann and Mathieu. Let's not get it mixed up. I still want them on the team, but I don't know. It could be 50-50. But before we dive into this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, because I'm the only channel on YouTube that posts daily Kansas City Chief content that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's dive into this Chiefs content. Let's dive into the top 5 safeties that I think can fill a Tyrann Mathieu void. So diving into this video, and I kind of let you guys know in the beginning as well that this Tyrann Mathieu situation is like up in the air and it's iffy, and I can see it going both ways. I can see Kansas City signing him to like another 3-year deal, $16 million a year, or I can see them basically trying a youth movement, not wanting to spend that much on a safety position right now. And they got Orlando Brown they got to sign. They got players they got to sign. They got players they're going to go after as well. So they could use that $16 million a year elsewhere. Now, like all the players that say that when they don't get signed, yes, it's a business, so it's how it moves, and it's understandable. And now that I'm looking more into it, honestly, like I'm at a, like I said, it's 50-50, but I might lean towards like 60-70% that Tyrann Mathieu might be on a different team next year. And that's hard to say just because he's the reason we've won a Super Bowl. He's the reason the defense has changed around, even though I know they've had their bads, their ups and downs. He's the leader, he's the quarterback of the defense, and it's hard to replace someone of his caliber like that. But I'm going to try to do that with these top 5 picks. And also, too, I'm going to put into perspective, I guess, that a lot of people aren't looking out for as well. And he's not on the list, but he's someone we need to remember and recognize as well. And that's JUAN THORNHILL. He came in the same time as Tyrann did. And let's remember, coming out of college, he was an athletic freak. His athleticism is off the charts. He's a ball hawk. He's a playmaker. I'm not going to say he controls the field exactly like a Tyrann does, but he plays almost exactly the same with speed-wise. You could put him anywhere, definitely before he was injured, and hopefully now a full year recovered from his injury, we can start to see the JUAN THORNHILL come back that we grew to know and love from draft profiles to his rookie year in KC. Last year was a down year, and I really don't know how to describe it. It was his first full year back from injury, but as well, too, it's like Spaz didn't trust him. He played Sorensen more than him as also, which we all know is like, we would take our worst JUAN THORNHILL over a Dan Sorensen, and coaching staff didn't see it that way, but I feel like JUAN THORNHILL can make a play, and I feel like at a very young age, he could be a bright spot in the future where you can put him in a Tyrann Mathieu role. Not saying he's going to fill it completely, but he can do his own things where it'd be justifiable and he'd be really good in that position. Definitely if he's fully recovered from his injury, which is looking like towards later in the year, that's what it's about. But now diving into at number 5, I'm actually going to have 2 players just because I couldn't really decide who I wanted to fill in these roles as well. And they're both kind of the same type of players. I want to say they're both closer to box safeties, but then when you hear me mention the first player, he really isn't. It's going to be Justin Reid and Jordan Whitehead. Now, we all know Jordan Whitehead is a full-on box safety, and Justin Reid, he can play multiple positions as well. And I know Chiefs fans, we know Justin Reid all too much from the playoff game where Kelsey was just torching his ass. But he's grown up, he's been better, he's actually a really good pass coverage defender, and he's really good safety. And Jordan Whitehead, he's a great box safety. And this is where I said you can play JUAN THORNHILL at Mathieu's spot, and if you put Jordan Whitehead in the box safety role, what Thornhill was playing, what Sorensen was playing, and you just let Thornhill roam around the field. Like I said, it might not look as good as what the Honey Badger was doing, but you give him time to grow in that role, I feel like Thornhill can be very successful in it. And if you have someone like Jordan Whitehead or even a Justin Reid, I feel like that would be good compliments, and I think it would work out very well. Justin Reid kind of had an off year, but it's Houston. I do not know what to make of Houston. It seemed like nobody wanted to be there last year, but he still put up decent stats. Jordan Whitehead, he had almost 60 tackles, 8 pass defense, I think 2 interceptions. I want to say they both had 2 interceptions. I will have the stats up here just so they give you the correct knowledge. I'm just winging it right now. But if I had to lean, I think I'll go with, I like the combo of a Jordan Whitehead and JUAN THORNHILL, but Justin Reid would be very nice too. And they both will cost around $6 to $8 million, which is cheaper. Like, than spending a full 16, 18 range around a Honey Badger, because I think Honey Badger might want more than what Jamal Adams wants. Even though Jamal Adams broke the bank, Tyrann thinks he's the best and he might command the best. And definitely in free agency, people overpay like crazy. So if you get someone this low end, like price wise, you could go splurge in different positions, and your defense will still not accumulate all the money that you think it needs to, when you can go for like a defensive end, a wide receiver. And I'm not saying those are going to be your full-time starters, because you still need to invest in the safety position, but I like where that will go at number 5. At number 4, I got Marcus May. We were all clamming, hoping that we would get Marcus May to pair up with Tyrann Mathieu. Now he's a free agent, and now you can get him on a prove-it deal. He did tear his Achilles, so it's going to be iffy to see what he brings. But he moves. He's a ball hunter. Wherever he is, he tries to search down and get that ball, get the tackle, get the player, and he's all over the field. Like I said, I do not want to compare him to Tyrann, but we need to find players that are quick and elusive and know how to get to the ball. And Marcus May, when fully healthy, can. Now, we can't replicate the stats he had prior to this year, because he only had 30 tackles and 2 pass defense before he did tear his Achilles. But he's a young guy, and the year before, he was a playmaker, and that's the reason why Casey wanted to get him so much, because, well, and Casey, Chiefs Kingdom, because just looking in the future was, if we can get Marcus May, and if we had a question with the Honey Badger, at least we still have Marcus May. If you can get Marcus May on a prove-it deal, a young caliber safety that hit as his stature, and then once it comes up, you can franchise him next year, sign him to a long-term deal, I think a prove-it deal will work out fine, just because we don't know what he offers. And again, he'll fall in the range of a Jordan Whitehead and a Justin Reid at around $6 to $8 million. That is a bargain for someone his caliber, just because off of an injury. I would do that in an instant. And honestly, I'm trying to do math in my head, and like, maybe you go for like a Marcus May and a Jordan Whitehead to pair up with a Juan Thornhill, because the Chiefs do like to run the 3 safeties sometimes. They did it a lot last year with Tyrann, Juan, and Dan Sorensen. Maybe they run that too. There's so many different variances they can do with these safeties. It's going to be interesting to see. But Marcus May, I think, is someone that Chiefs Kingdom needs to keep their eyes out for. Now, I got him at number 3, but this might be the one that I kind of want to have happen the most. And it's someone they're not really mentioning going to KC whatsoever, but I mentioned it in my dream free agent mock for Kansas City Chiefs. I want QUANDRE Diggs on this team. Like, if he has to replace Tyrann and then you have a Juan Thornhill, I think that would just be such an interesting combo. And QUANDRE has had solid years with Seattle. Last year, he did really well with 5 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. Even the year before, he had 5 interceptions and over 10 pass breakups. Over 60 to 70 tackles he averages. Excuse me, had to let that out. That pre-workout was kicking in. But he is a consistent playmaker, and if Seattle, for some reason, somehow, doesn't want to sign him before the free agency marks, I just hope this is someone KC is after, because I think he fits really well in the defense. He's a playmaker. Like, again, don't want to compare him to the Honey Badger, but he runs all over the field. He's a ball hawk. He's a tackler. He's quick. He's elusive. I think out of everyone I'm going to mention, I'm going to hold back on that a little bit, but out of everyone I mentioned, he's one of my favorite ones besides one, which I'll get to here shortly. But QUANDRE Diggs is very interesting. I think he's also an under-the-radar free agent that a lot of people aren't paying attention to, that can make a big impact on next year no matter what team he's on. That's why I say, Seattle, if you're smart, you spend your money there, because QUANDRE Diggs, no matter where he goes next year, he's going to be a difference maker. So you guys better watch out and remember the name. Now, my next player I have at number 2, which I had to make it interesting, because you never know. Casey, if they're not going to, this is where I kind of find it iffy, because they can do this just because they want to make a youth movement and make sure they have the safety position solidified for 4 or 5 years. This is where they can make this move. But if they're not going to spend $16.5 million on Tyrann, I don't know why they would do it with Marcus Williams, even though he's proven and he's getting better year in and year out. But that's what I'm going to dive into right now, is Marcus Williams. He will cost just as much as Tyrann, and if you're going to spend that money, I'd rather spend it on Tyrann. But I know there's a lot of people who are big Marcus Williams fans, and he is a great player. I know what people remember freshly off his mind. I remember when I first hear the name Marcus Williams, the Minnesota Miracle, Stephon Diggs. And I don't want him in a playoff game to do that against us because it looks like we'll be playing the Bills a lot when it comes to Bills-Chiefs playoffs. So that's the first thing you think of. But then when you look at the numbers, look at the highlights, you see he's actually a very versatile player. He's a hard-hitting safety. He knows where the ball is at. And he's actually, like, I didn't know, and I'm, like, again, I say it repetitively a lot, but not to compare him to Tyrann, but it's like he's all over the field as well. Maybe not in the instance that Tyrann or any of these other guys are, but he's a good safety, and his coverage skills since then, since his rookie year to now, have gotten impressively better, and he's a solid player. It's just, again, I don't know if I want to spend $16.5 million on him compared to Tyrann. The reason I have him at number 2 is because I can see it happening, because if someone spends high dollars on Tyrann, that means KC could be like, damn, we need to replace him now, and we might not trust what's out there on a lower end, and so we need to go for the next top-notch high-end guy, which would be Marcus Williams. Well, of course, it would be Jesse Bates, and I'm going to spoil it right now. I do not have Jesse Bates on this list because I feel like he's going to get franchise tagged, so if he was, he would definitely be number 1 or number 2, but Marcus Williams falls number 2 just because he's a playmaker. And the reason I don't think he'll go back to the Saints, just as everyone does know, they are in cap hell. They're over $70 million. They got to find a way to trim off some of that, and bringing Marcus Williams back and signing him does not help that case whatsoever. Could they do it? Yeah. But do I think so? No. He'd be an interesting piece. I think he would pair up well with Juan Thornhill. I just don't think out of all my pairings I mentioned, that's not like the nicest, the sexiest one that I have mentioned. And I know I'm number 2, but that's just because I can see KC really making this move if they move on from the Honey Badger. And at number 1, I got the rookie, Daxton Hill. I don't know what it is about this kid. It's funny too. He's just popping up on Chiefs mock drafts wherever you see him. I want to say he's on 90% of the Chiefs mock drafts all over the internet. You could quote it. I want you to like pause, take about a minute, go look, and you'll see. Like if you looked up 10 mock drafts, he's on 9 of them. Like he's everywhere, and I get it because he's going to be on every one of them until KC moves on or they decide what they want to do with Tyrann. Of course, if they stick with Tyrann, he's not probably going to be there. But if they do move on, that's where they got it filled in. And so I was wondering what it was all about because I was at first getting kind of tired of seeing really Daxton Hill. Really Daxton Hill again. Like, where's the wide receivers? Where's the pass rusher? Give us something interesting. Don't just all combine and decide, oh, we're going to get Daxton Hill. But then I watched the tape, and I'm like, oh, I see why. Like, it's going to be interesting because Combine's this week, and if he blows it away like everyone is expecting, I'm kind of hoping KC trades up for him now. Like, people say that he will be there for KC, but we've seen how the draft works. Once someone has a stellar combine, they go from like a second round to mid-tier first round. It's crazy, but that's how it works. And it's going to be interesting to see because, damn it, pre-workout again? Okay. It's going to be interesting to see with someone like Daxton Hill because he's not on the high levels of like a Kyle Hamilton, he can go as early as the number 3 pick in the draft because his size is just a freak, 6'4". You never see that in a safety. But Daxton Hill is different. And I'm going to say it again because this is what I've been trying to look for. But if you want to find anyone as close as the Honey Badger, it might be Daxton Hill. He knows where the football's at. I've never seen anyone move around the ball like that, move around the field, read quarterbacks. He is elusive. He is everywhere. And like I said, he can go from a second-round guy to a mid-tier first just based off the combine because they're saying he can run a 4.2 something. If he runs a 4.2 something, he won't be there when Kansas City drafts. He might go to the Las Vegas Raiders because Raiders like to get the speed guys. I think KC needs to go all after it, and if they do, I think it would be a home run because Veach knows how to find these defensive players, and people will be like, oh, it's kind of a reach. Definitely not if he falls to him, or definitely if you trade up. You need a new leader on the defense if the Honey Badger isn't there no more, and Daxton Hill can be that guy. I'm not saying it'll be year 1 because we've seen it even with the lights of Eric Berry. He didn't come in and steal the show right away. Now, I will say, rookie year, he did have his bright spots, but it didn't take till some time for us to grow into the Eric Berry we love. But Daxton Hill, I think he can feel that very well. And here's why I would really like Daxton Hill. Let's just say, so, I don't even know if it's too much or not, but you have a Juan Thornhill. Let's say you get QUANDRE Diggs for like $10 million. and then you drop Daxton Hill. That safety trio right there is deadly, and I would love it. Like, it's going to be hard to throw against them, and that'd be interesting. And then, of course, you just got to solidify the cornerbacks, which I'll get to in another video. Right now, I'm looking at these safeties, and I think I found perfect combinations, but I would love the combo of a Daxton Hill, QUANDRE Diggs, and JUAN Thornhill. But I'm going to close this video off. You let me know down in the comments below which one of the 5, well, actually 6 safeties that I mentioned that you would like coming to this team, or if you feel like KC needs to sign or re-sign Tyrann Mathieu, and you feel like if they don't, they're going to struggle on defense for years to come, or if he is replaceable. But with that, I am checking out. That means please do subscribe to the channel, because I will check back in with you guys tomorrow. You guys take care. Peace.